using the cloud. How can companies guarantee data security, privacy protection when much of their in-house communication and their business applications are now done in the cloud? Well, we just heard about Deutsche Telekom. Deutsche Telekom says that they've got some answers to these questions. I'd like for you to help me welcome the CIO at Deutsche Telekom, Mr. Markus Müller.
Good to see you too. Good to see you. So, hello and welcome to all of you, especially welcome to the people watching us on live video stream. So I'm actually here today to talk about cloud from the perspective of a CIO. And you might ask, why is that of any interest to listen from a perspective of a CIO? Well, if you walk across CeBIT, what you definitely see is almost any standard CeBIT offers cloud. Yeah, you see cloud service, or at least you announce soon to come up with a cloud service. If you then talk to a CIO about the usage of cloud, most of the CIOs don't fully use it. Only 10 to 15% of the business applications, of the real critical business applications, are in the cloud. So why about this discrepancy? What is it what we can do to overcome, and how can we really bring the tough stuff into the cloud? And I would really like to discuss with you today and show you some of the examples where we really try to bring the most critical stuff into the cloud and how we can benefit from that. When we talk about cloud, let me just briefly resume. I think there are a lot of analogies to compare cloud. One is about the airplane. Of course, nobody buys an airplane today, but you use a service. When you consider back 1903, Brothers Wright, when they started the first plane, how long did it take until the real first cloud service was established? What I mean with a cloud service is a passenger plane. The first passenger plane was actually initiated and started 1928, 25 years later. So IT industry, usually considered as being quite fast, if you compare back to the 1970s, in 1995, nobody talked about cloud. So one of the simple analogies, I think we cannot stop it, it will come. But let's look at cloud portfolio. What is it what is usually offered? You see the typical building blocks, you see infrastructure as a service, you see platform as a service, you see software as a service. And what the and I think my predecessor, Daniel Sachs, described to you a very good example of cloud services, Business Marketplace, which is software as a service for small to medium businesses. But what the kind of similar thing about all that is, it is a homogeneous service, it can be replicated, it is scalable, it can be measured, you can offer it, like I said, electricity out of the socket, out of the power, and you can charge for it. That is the reason why most of the stuff you see here, and actually almost all, is like bricks. You can buy a brick from a large corporate perspective. If you have to manage 200,000 users, you buy a brick and you buy another brick, you buy some CPU power, you buy some storage, you buy some platform with a database, you buy some office and desktop. But have you ever seen a core insurance application or the banking backbone in the cloud? Why not? Why is that not offered in the cloud? Because it is usually not standardized. For a large corporate, it is a very complex application. So how can we use these building blocks to really go for these more difficult applications? So let's look at the portfolio of Deutsche Telekom. And of course, I'm being challenged as a CIO. Why am I challenged? The guys who sell this stuff to business customers, of course, approach me and say, Markus, please use our products. It's much easier for us to approach our customers if we can say our internal CIO goes for the cloud. Well, and for some of the products I do, for others not. I definitely don't go for the media center, which is more for our business, for our private consumer customers. If you have an intranet or an internet account with Deutsche Telekom, you are being offered 25 gigabyte of storage. On the business side, of course, we offer infrastructure as a service, which is CPU power, which is storage, which is the typical stuff. 50% of our portfolio is basically infrastructure as a service. It is mainly allocated to SAP or other applications which need scalable services. We offer virtual desktops to more than 20,000 users, and we offer collaboration tools. So this is not the critical stuff. This is the stuff which you usually find in the cloud. And you have a business marketplace. I think the colleague just described what is it about. Please visit the website. You will find the 39 apps. It's an app store. And you will find, of course, a box.com. But you will also find an ERP system, a small one. You will find a small CRM system, and you will find a billing system, and you can buy that for 20 euros a month. Why am I not going on an ERP system or on the CRM system? Because we run one of the largest installations anyhow in CeBIT or in SAP. I have the largest CeBIT installation with about 20,000 users. This is actually very difficult to bring into the cloud. Although the stuff is relevant, and I have it in the focus, I basically go for the desktop and for some special applications I'm going to talk later about. So what are the typical challenges for a CIO? The most important challenge is to stay longer in the job than 2 years, because that is the average survival time of a CIO. Some stay longer, others less. So I'm 9 months with the company, but I had my 10 years at Allianz before, so I hope I'm in average okay. So what are the typical benefits you hear about? You hear about elasticity of services. What does it mean? It actually means you buy the service, and if you consume more, you pay more. If you consume less, you pay less. But think about if you bring a 3-9 availability or a 2-9s availability, which means 5 minutes maximum of 5 to 6 minutes outage a month into the cloud, what will you need? And also a cloud provider will need to do that. You have to build up redundant infrastructure. You have to build up failover architectures. And what will you do? You will charge your client for that. And you will charge your client for infrastructure that is currently not being used. You will charge for things that might be used in the case of an incident, but which are pretty similar and which are pretty important to do. And users debate with you about that. So if you really bring the most critical services into the cloud, the curve, the pricing curve, will definitely have a larger fixed volume or fixed element. Reduce complexity, that's also true. I tick all of them off. The greatest advantage of cloud is it brings discipline to the architects. It brings discipline to the IT developers because they offer you a black box service. It is a set of APIs, it is a set of services which you usually cannot and should not be able to alter. Things you buy as a typical service-oriented architecture in its best way from the cloud. But reality, unfortunately, if you run like 3,000 apps, if your IT budget is 2.5 billion euros, unfortunately, you have some pretty old stuff sitting there. It's called legacy, it's hard-coded, it is not designed to run with a service-oriented architecture. It usually deeply is integrated and wants to talk to sometimes machine code directly. So the challenge is, yes, you get the reduced complexity, but you have to shape your existing environment to become applicable for cloud services. You usually encapsulate and offer some service layers, which is also not visible in these charts, but is one of the challenges you have. But it's still a benefit, and it is worthwhile, and that's the reason why we did so. And of course, you can save money. Given the complexity of running complex systems there, of increased availability and the need to integrate into legacy, we still made it possible to save up to 20 to 30%, which I'll later show. So, but the real challenges for a CIO are data security, availability, and as I just mentioned, integration. We at Deutsche Telekom have about 450,000 attacks a day on our systems. 450,000 attacks a day. which is automated attacks, which is just try to attack Deutsche Telekom. And I just came from a meeting with 7 CIOs from other DAX, German large corporates, and they report similar topics. So this is a challenge, and given this challenge, if you don't have a good answer for that, you really want to consider if you give out your most critical data out of your own data center to the cloud. Well, you could do, but it's much easier to think about collaboration in the cloud and some virtual desktop than your customer data. So one of the key challenges we have to talk about. Availability. In the cloud, definitely you will figure out incidents occur less often. The number of incidents will go down. And you see here some of the incidents that can happen. Outage of financial transfer services in 150 branches. I've actually kept out the names of the companies because we as Deutsche Telekom had our own issues several years ago. There's someone laughing here. Mailbox of 150,000 users lost, of course. Servers down for 2 days. Well, the incident level, the number of incidents go down, but the severity of the incident increases significantly. If something happens, then all your users are off. If you bring the point of sale system, and you'll later see that, for all telecom shops in the cloud, and you have a network outage during peak time of Christmas, when people are lining up to buy the iPhone, and you have a 3-hour outage, then you get a hot phone. And you don't like that because it gives bad feelings. It is not good for your stomach, it's not good for your health, your wife doesn't like it, you say what type of job you have. So you better think twice whether you will follow your business to bring everything into the cloud. But we still did, and my wife is still with me. Integration. Cloud adoption is not just to buy off the shelf. It looks like, yes, if you have a greenfield application and if you have a butcher store with 10 employees and you can run your ERP on an Excel sheet, yes, you can buy the ERP service from the cloud. You can even buy the ERP service for a large corporate, but that requires different systems. So currently, only 10 to 15% of the most critical applications are in the cloud. And you go for 15, you go for Forrester, you go for Gartner, you find 10, so whatever is true. At Deutsche Telekom, we addressed that. We said we are going for the tough stuff, and we want to change this number. Currently, we run about 30% of the applications in the cloud. Why is that? I mean, just go to the Telecom stand, it says we offer cloud services for 200 customers and we do so as best practice. So I will not say that this is an easy stuff, but it required really 2 years to get it up and running. And I think the benefits of that are clearly visible, but it is not an easy path. You can just get like current out of this from the wall. So what did we put into the cloud? We said it is very important for us to run an efficient logistics chain. What do we mean with a logistics chain? When you order a phone, when you order a service, you go on one of our websites, or you enter a shop. You usually then ideally buy one of our phones. You will have to interact with the SAP system. You will have to interact with the order management. And finally, you have to activate a SIM card. That means if you can use the SIM card, and this is not something where you just put an entry in a database, there is first a creditworthiness check. We like to have people and customers who are able to pay the bill after 1 month. So we do a kind of, not only a pretty sophisticated creditworthiness check. Then we run that through several filters, and finally, it is being then activated. The whole process takes 3 minutes. And is able to keep up to 150,000 orders per week. We manage our complete workforce in the cloud. Workforce is, for the Germans, the gray cars with the red dots that go to the gray boxes and fix them. The gray boxes you have seen, they're usually next to your location when you live in Germany. And we have about 120,000 users across Europe running actually the largest seamless communication platform in the cloud based on Cisco equipment. Actually, if you want to see that, you can't go to Cisco. You have to go to the Innovation Lab, the largest installation up and running. You will see soon, and you can not see otherwise in other areas. So let me show you what this is. This is not a bomb. It may look like. I had some problem to bring it through security. This is a honeypot. And most IT people know what a honeypot is. This is actually a Raspberry computer, about $25. You find an LTE stick. It connects via Wi-Fi to the internet. It has a battery pack, and it has a very simple display. This computer is being brought into the internet with an IP address. You can change it, and it says, please attack me. How can you do that? You just open the relevant ports. And by just looking around here in the, not here, but in the IT service community, there are so many automated scanning algorithms from different countries. Number 1 is Russia, number 2 is China, number 3 is Germany, ourselves, producing a huge number of attacks. So with the honeypot, we are able to identify attackers before they really attack. And the question is, what does that mean? Why is that special? The challenge in security is that there is no silver bullet. Hackers and attackers are organized in communities. They sit together and think what they can do. They even offer botnet services in the internet where you can easily learn how to send a PDF to a computer and then gain control over this computer. You can buy these services. So a well-organized organization, if you go to a CIO from Deutsche Bank, a CIO from Telekom, a CIO from Deutsche Bahn, all the companies, and you ask them, what about your security? Should we exchange and talk about that? This is not the topic people like to talk. But I think we have now a new mentality, and we will bring it up in security, that we have to be more open. Like in the health situation, in the real health, if you have a virus, it is being communicated around the world through specific organizations. And René Obermann initiated late last year a cybersecurity conference. He brought together 20 CEOs from the largest corporates in Germany, and they decided to work on the topic. And today we met the second time with the CIOs to think what we can do. And one of the most important topics for the CIOs was, we have to move out from the pure static model of detect, prevent, and resolve. We have to be proactive. We have to identify in advance a wave that is coming. I'll just give you an example. If you get one of the new viruses, and we find them via these honeypots, and we know it is a mail software, and we send it to one of the security virus scanners, and there is a virus.com tool where you can do that, only 5% of the virus tools identify this stuff. And it takes them usually 2 to 3 weeks to bring this new virus into their tool. So you should not switch off the virus, but it is not a proactive system to really secure your systems. So what we plan to do is do some proactive security management. And this, for example, we will integrate into a pipe in front of our system. So once we have identified some attacking addresses, they are automatically blacklisted. We call that secure entry pipe. So this is one of my topics I like, that's why I talk a little bit longer about that. But there is no silver bullet, but we are not lost, but we have to move hard to go on. So let me now talk about the second challenge, about availability. What can we do, and what did we do to really bring the more critical stuff in the cloud? So first of all, we started to put cloud services into our shops. Well, and we promised them a 30% cost reduction. So the head of the shop said, great service, I'm going to buy it. And unfortunately, we used the virtual desktop. We put the point of sale system on it. And after the first failure, and I mean, if there is anyone who says there is code that is always perfect, systems don't break, he's wrong. The system broke, and it took us 4 hours to recover. Half a day gone. Do that 3 times, and the head of shops or distribution will soon say, I want to have my dedicated server back, and I'm happy to pay 30% more. So after about a year, we decided to do the following. We segmented our back office infrastructure into 5 segments. And in each of the shops, where you usually have like 20 seats, we connected 4 seats to each segment. So when you work in a shop and you have the 20 employees, the 20 employees work on 5 dedicated cloud infrastructures. If one breaks, we don't fail over, you just go to the next seat. So, unfortunately, even at Deutsche Telekom, it can happen that you have a network outage. It can happen that you have a network outage, and you don't want a 1-hour network outage. And for this reason, we put some fat clients as a fallback into the cloud. Yes, at a cost, but we are able to provide 2 nines availability on the shop system. So how does the back office look like? In the back office, we offer basically an SAP platform out of the cloud. Out of the cloud, for all of you who are in SAP, means the SAP base service, from the infrastructure level to the database to the basic system of SAP, is available in the cloud. It is configurable by size and price. You pay for what you use. The finance, the controlling, and the logistics model are dedicated, but the remaining infrastructure part is in the cloud. All that, as being described before, enter the shop, buy the phone, order it in the SAP system, is capable to process 150,000 orders per week. So, and we're going to ramp that up for the next Christmas period to be able to manage our iPhone 5 launch. Actually, we had more problems with the website, but we managed them too. So this is just an example that you can use the building blocks, but that you need to think in using so, and that it is more difficult for a large corporate to do so. So let me talk about collaboration, which is one of the easiest and typical use cases for cloud services. We decided, and sorry for the busy picture, that we, as a telco company, want to be best practice here. So we really provide a completely seamless communication platform. You have telephony, you have video conference, you have telephone conference, you have WebEx, all on a seamless communication platform. There is session roaming, you can use different devices, and we deployed that in the cloud. We currently run like 25 million minutes per month, so of course we like our products and we use the phone a lot. 120,000 users at Deutsche Telekom, 22 million euros of savings. This is the showcase. But what was the challenge? Why did it take us more than 1.5 years? Again, the challenge was the integration. You don't want to put a seamless communication platform next to your telephone back-end infrastructure. You have to integrate it into your PBX infrastructure. You have to integrate it into your calendars. You have to integrate it into your desktop architecture. And if you have 120,000 users, believe me, not everyone has a standardized similar desktop. That is one of the challenges too. So I hope I could give you an example of what cloud means if you run a 2.5 billion euro IT budget for 200,000 users. But again, I do that not on my own. I run with a provider, and of course you will find a commercial. Do it with someone who knows how to do this stuff. And finally, I would be very happy to invite you to the stand of Deutsche Telekom, which is in Hall 4, stand C26, to really show you. You will find a first demo on the security topics. You will get some real honey. They serve some honey pots and it tastes good. But you will also find a cloud book solution. You will find the email. You will find health in the cloud, meaning services for elderly people, services to measure your blood pressure, report it directly to the doctor, services to monitor your home if you are disabled and you want to have a direct contact to the doctor, smart metering. services that allow you to monitor your electricity consumption by device to enable and disable the electricity based on your usage pattern. Connected home, services to manage and monitor your home. Mobile payment, we recently launched in Poland as the first subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom to pay via phone. All cloud services. And finally, I think yesterday there was a press release. If you go for a BMW, which is a nice car, you now can order, or for a Sixt rental car, you can order a mobile hotspot. The car is a driving hotspot, service from the cloud, and one of our recent topics for innovation is educational services for e-learning out of the cloud. So I hope I covered your interest. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.